Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about a movie that has been trending on Netflix, and I thought it'd be fine to talk about it. I don't know why not. You've never seen it before, so I showed it to you. I think it's a pretty good movie, and this is the end.
Well, I really like this film.
I remember when it came out, like 2011 or something. It was a very big, popular movie, and it's kind of interesting how he uses the actors playing themselves. I think that's kind of like a fun thing that you don't see a lot in big comedies. So that was fun.
Well, coming from Los Angeles and being around the whole Hollywood scene, it's really, I felt like really great to watch these people be made fun of. So I thought the movie was aware in a lot of ways, and at the same time how sentimental it was. Mm-hmm. Without getting into spoilers, I really thought the writing was excellent. James Franco does annoy me, but I also loved him in this movie because I loved how I find him obnoxious, and I feel like the obnoxious aspect of his personality was kind of shown in this film and made fun of.
Everyone sucks. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like all of these things coming together. So I thought it was hilarious. And I especially like the end, which I can get into at the spoiler section. I would rate this movie 9 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, what about you?
It's very fun, and there's a lot of fun cameos, but I do like that at the heart of it, it's kind of like a story about just being friends with someone, being friends with someone for a long time, and that feeling of growing apart, of how do you manage that. And it's funny that at the climax of the movie, there's kind of like a touching feeling of these characters, coming together. It's kind of a very nice thing, and surprised me the first time I saw it, and still seeing it now, it's actually kind of touching. Also, the send up of certain biblical concepts was fun, which I won't get into because I don't want to get into spoilers, but I would give it a 7 out of 10. I really like it. Mm-hmm. I will say that there are parts of this that have aged poorly, and some just genuinely juvenile jokes that don't really land. But it's Seth Rogen. What do you expect from this type of movie? You expect to be kind of like the stupid shoved in your face. I think it's different from other Seth Rogen led style comedies where they're trying to just be gross and shove things in your face that are just nasty and trying to be shocking in a kind of Family Guy way that's just kind of obnoxious to me. I feel like that's on the bad end of these types of movies where they're just trying to be loud and annoying and shock you with how gross they can be. Mm-hmm. And that gets so tiresome, and I don't like that. This actually has a story. It has characters like the script works really well, and there's not really a boring part in the movie. There's the gross out humor and the occasional, dumb thing in there, but it never overwhelms the movie or feels like we're getting lost, like we're losing sight of the script or the main narrative thrust.
And on top of what you said, I really love the different types of personality that we see. Mm-hmm. They're all outlandish, they're all out there, but you see people who've made mistakes and have a hard time changing. You have someone who has much easier time changing. You have someone who is more pretentious.
Jonah Hill.
You have Jonah Hill, who's he has his own character of kind, but there's a twist to it that we can get into the spoiler section. And I love Danny McBride.
He always plays the worst character in every stuff. Yeah, and this was him at his max. Oh no, what you see in movies isn't as bad as how this guy really is.
And I love how he tries to gaslight people.
Yeah.
Into believing that he is actually just misunderstood. Yeah. And, so I really love those different mixes.
I think that it's kind of fitting that we're talking about this in this Halloween-ish season because it is kind of like a horror comedy. There's some horror elements that are played for laughs, but are also kind of tense. And it's a end of the world concept that's done very well, I think, and has great elements of parody. And like you said, the characters are all very distinct and have their own likable, but also just you love to hate kind of qualities. Mm-hmm. The fact that we get to see so many A-list celebrities get brutally murdered is just a delight. It's a delight.
It is. Well, I think we should get into the spoiler section.
Let's do it.
Murder.
Yeah.
So I really loved how in the beginning of the film, after this whole Hollywood party at James Franco house, I really loved how bunch of celebrities, Rihanna, just die instantly.
I like how they actually do that, where it's not totally obvious at first what's going on.
Well,
But
because it looks like that would be a bad thing, right? It looks like they're about to like get like an aliens are coming to get them or something.
But it becomes. I like how they're piecing it over time. That this is the end of days, like the Book of Revelations sort of thing. And as they start to realize, like, oh, the reason why we're still here is because we're not good people. And that doesn't sit very well with these A-list actors. And I love some of their justifications for why they think they deserve to go to heaven. They're like, what do you mean? We're beloved by so many people. We make millions of people happy. And then Jay, the character, Jay Baruchel, he goes like, well, we're also paid a lot of money, way more than most people.
Felt like they were doing it for free.
So it's just like the way they react is how you'd expect, these types of people to react.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of that, it's really interesting at the end. Speaking of transporting into heaven, or transcending into heaven, how James Franco's character is like begins to get transported into heaven, and then he goes, yeah, F you, and all those things, and then he just like it just was like, yeah, no, you don't deserve to go to heaven, and he just falls.
Yeah.
And then he gets eaten alive.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I love is that it is taking this like very classic, just like it's what you imagine as a kid, like the apocalypse would look like. That's what I like about it. It's so like simple and like childish almost, but in a very like clever and charming way. When they do with the certain characters who get to heaven, when they go to heaven, it's how you'd imagine heaven being like as a kid. They're all smoking weed. There's roller coasters, and it's just
and I love
ridiculous.
that Backstreet Boys were in heaven. They all were in heaven. So apparently they're really great people.
I like how it's not like a simple thing, like where all the characters can go, succeed. They go to heaven and it all works out for them. It's like there are very logical reasons for why certain ones don't. Jonah Hill gets possessed by the devil. And a scene that is a bit...
That was, I would say, like, I would use the term possessed very loosely. SA'd by
No, he definitely was. Like, I think that's not going to age great over the years, but it is certainly shocking. And that's what I mean. Like, it's trying to be shocking, and there's a type of,
Well, I thought what was clever was that right before he gets possessed, he prays for Jay to die.
Yeah.
And he really is so self-righteous.
Yeah, there's a reason why he gets possessed.
He's so self-righteous that he's like, this is going to happen because I'm a good person.
Incredibly self-righteous, yeah.
Very self-righteous. I also loved his character period where he was like, where he was saying to Jay after everyone dies, and he goes, "You okay? You want water?" And then James Franco is like, "I'm freaking out too." It's like, he's not as strong as you.
There's a reason for what happens to them, what doesn't work, what does work. Like Jay and Craig Robinson, they end up kind of forming a pact where they're like, we need to like try to better ourselves, like genuinely. And it takes a while for other people to catch on to that. Finally, James Franco does, and he does something to sacrifice does something self-sacrificial. And like you said, it doesn't end up working out. Jay starts to transcend. He's floating up, and he's trying to pull Seth Rogen with him. And it's that final moment where Seth, sacrifices himself, where he can actually go up as well. And it's played with like the Whitney Houston song, which it's super funny. Like that's a great scene. Like it brings laughs, but it's also like really sweet. Like they end up bringing their friendship closer. There's like a kind of touching, simple drama going on between Seth and Jay. And it felt like at the end of it, it was like just a story about these two friends trying to get closer.
It's about two friends who are trying to find their way back to each other.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you grow up with a bunch of groups, and I think we've all been there, where some people you stay close to, some people you don't. And sometimes some of those people you want to stay close to, but you've grown so far apart that you don't really know how to find your way back to each other and accept each other for the growth. One person can't get resentful for another person. And this has happened in this relationship where Jay gets resentful for Seth Rogen's changes that has been acquired over the years due to his Hollywood career, and he becomes a little bit more obnoxious version of himself. At the end, it's about acknowledgement, and it's about like just accepting each other the way they are.
But also Jay isn't perfect because he thinks he's better than everyone.
Exactly. And then Jay comes to accept like, okay, I am not great. And he's the one who like proving himself and to go to heaven. He is like, okay, we got to all do good acts, but he kind of does good acts selflessly.
I was worried that, a lot of movies that I liked, in high school, comedies especially that came out around this time, don't necessarily hold up all the same. Some are better than others. I think that some I've revisited haven't gone so well, but I was surprised and pretty happy to see that upon revisiting this one, it holds up. At least it does for me. I think that it works because it's a good script. It has themes. It has, a through line. It's not just improvisational comedy the whole way through. It feels like there's a point to each scene, and that we're progressing through a series of funny situations, and it's not just characters saying stuff, improvising, being funny. I'm thinking like Ghostbusters 2016 or something like that, where it's just saying things that will be humorous, characters that are unique, that are clashing against each other, going into really ridiculous situations. And so it just works on a fundamental way that I think that's why there's some longevity here. That's why I think that, years from now, people will revisit this, and while maybe James Franco's in it, maybe there's some not so tasteful jokes in here, but still it's like a good comedy. Like it has really good stuff.
So to your point, the characters are very motivated. Everything they say, all the dialogues, they're motivated by internal need, the depletion of those needs a lot of times. I do want to mention the Channing Tatum scene.
Yeah, that was a good cameo. This movie could only work, I think, if it was like a big budget like this, because you need a bunch of actors, big A-list actors. You have Michael Cera playing a total douchebag and getting killed with a pole.
I also like Emma Watson.
Emma Watson's in there. There's Rihanna. There's so many different people.
Yeah, but Emma Watson was especially crazy because they're talking about SAing her in
that's one I think is probably the most to have aged in this, because it is pretty like, okay, really should we be joking about this? So yeah, your mileage may vary for that kind of humor.
Yeah, but I do like that Emma Watson came out with an axe. Yeah, I really like the film. Do you have any other thoughts?
So it's on Netflix now. We saw it was in the top 10 recently. Everyone was revisiting it, it seemed, so we thought it'd be appropriate to check it out ourselves. And I'm really glad you liked it.
Yeah, and it's my first time, and as he said, he's watched it before. Well, thank you so much for joining and watching this video with us. Leave comments below to let us know what you think. I do want to announce that we're going to be doing Only Scary Movies in October. So
let us know what horror movies you want us to see that are new, or either you want us to revisit. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all later.
See you all later. Bye.
Bye.